Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
Are you delusional?
Welcome to Disruptive Investing.
All right, so you know the tough part about being a disruptive investor is that we often sound delusional.
So what is delusional?
Well, let's look up the definition here. Characterized by or holding false beliefs or judgments about external reality that are held despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, typically as a symptom of a mental condition. Also based on or having faulty judgment, mistaken.
And so nobody wants to be accused of having faulty judgment or to be mistaken, especially with something so important as investing your hard-earned savings.
And that's why most of the pack don't run with us, to be honest. They think we are delusional, right? What we seem to think will happen doesn't fit the reality that they see in the world around them.
But what is their reality? Why don't most investors see what we see?
Let's step back for a minute and ask, how do you take in the world and what's going on in it? We certainly can't be expected to travel around the world to companies to see what they're creating. And even if we could afford to travel to them, they most likely wouldn't let most investors in to take a look around.
So how do we know what they're working on?
We have to rely on secondhand sources of information, right? Press releases, reporters, interviews, podcasts, books, white papers.
What Zach and I try to do is actually visit companies when we can and interview their C-suite executives directly. We think that this is the best way to really get a sense of what companies are doing. We share as many of these tours and interviews with you, both here on Disruptive Investing and on Now You Know channel, and also exclusive live streams and videos with our Now You Know Patreons, for those who want to help support the work we do at patreon.com/nowyouknow.
Many people thought we were delusional back in 2016 when we started reporting on EVs and solar energy and batteries and Tesla.
Electric cars will never replace gas cars.
They don't have enough range.
They take too long to charge.
They cost too much.
You're delusional.
Fast forward to today, and Bloomberg NEF just forecast that virtually all automobiles in the US will be electric in 10 years. So I'd like to flip everything for a second here. I think almost every investor out there, except for those of us who invest in Tesla, are the delusional ones.
They are the ones who are basing their decisions on false beliefs and judgments.
Basically, they haven't taken the time to educate themselves on what's really going on in this world. They don't watch interviews with people who follow this stuff.
They watch legacy media, which, as we know, is paid for with advertising money.
Whose advertising money?
Big auto, big oil, and big pharma.
How do their incentives work? Do they get paid to report the truth, or do they get paid to report on the stories that their check writers want?
Since you're watching this channel, you know the answer to that.
The problem is we're humans, okay? We are social creatures, and we want desperately to fit in. At least most of us do. So we don't feel comfortable telling everyone at the dinner party that they're wrong about what's going to happen. If you're one of the only ones saying it, then you sound like the delusional one. Better to keep your mouth shut, or worse, back down from your beliefs because so many other people seem to believe you're wrong.
Tesla isn't going to put GM and Ford and Volkswagen out of business. Big Auto has been making cars for 100 years. They know what they're doing.
Do they? Then why did the new guy on the block, Tesla, just do this again last quarter?
Tesla is still the only high-volume EV automaker.
Right. Tesla sold more EVs in the US in Q1 of this year than all of the next 10 brands combined.
20,000 more. And these are the facts.
Most of the time, the media either doesn't tell you the facts or they spin them.
Tesla sales were down in Q1 by 13%.
Tesla had a recall.
Elon Musk tweets a lot of crazy stuff.
But it's hard to argue with the facts. The Model Y, for instance, is now the best-selling car in the world. Period. That's a fact. Teslas are the most efficient, mass-produced EVs on the road. Fact.
Teslas are the safest cars on the road. That's a fact.
Tesla has the largest fast-charging network in the world. Fact.
Tesla has the highest margins of any mass-production automaker. Fact.
And we could go on with facts all day, but to me, the most exciting realities aren't quite facts yet.
Like, I'd like to be able to say that Tesla will have the first robo-taxis. Fact. But it hasn't happened yet, so technically it's not a fact yet.
I'd like to say that Tesla will have the first mass-produced, fully autonomous humanoid robot that will change labor and the economy on this planet as we know it, but it hasn't happened yet, so it's not a fact. Are we delusional to say these things?
Kind of sounds like we are to most people. We've been getting strange looks from people that we meet and share this information with for years.
Those guys just said that Elon Musk had a company that was going to put chips into people's brains so they can control computers. You better stay clear of those guys.
Who was delusional? Turns out we were right. So by definition, everyone else was delusional.
It reminds me of when a few smart people figured out that the sun didn't go around the earth. Everyone in the world at that time believed what they were told, that the sun went around the earth. So Copernicus and Galileo had to be delusional.
Except that Copernicus and Galileo were right. And you have to keep in mind that there was an incentive for the story to be that the earth was the center of the universe. Right. There was an incentive by a big organization that didn't want the truth to come out. And so when Galileo said, hey, look at the moons of Jupiter. Look how they're going around Jupiter. And the church went, you're going to stay in your fucking house until you die, motherfucker. That's what they did. Yep. Who was the delusional one? Mm-hmm. It wasn't the guy who got locked up. It was everybody else.
You're crazy. You're crazy, man.
Now, when we meet people in the Cybertruck, we regularly have to debunk a lot of incorrect information about EVs, batteries, charging, Tesla, etc.
People have been fed this wrong information about this stuff for years.
And now a lot of it's stuck in their brain as facts, like the fact that the sun goes around the earth. It doesn't, but who can blame people for not doing their own first principle research about it?
Well, if you want to make money in what is going to be the most disruptive technological period that humans have ever seen, and yes, I'm talking about the next 15 years, then you, disruptive investor, need to do your own first principle research.
And we're here to help you. Please consider helping us help you.
We love interviewing smart founders and CTOs, and we're good at it.
We're good at spotting the truth and the crap.
We love to find companies that are working on disruptive technologies that are going to make our lives healthier and safer and easier and make life on this planet more sustainable and cleaner.
If that sounds good to you too, then please hit the subscribe button, like this video, and join us on our Patreon Investor Club today.
And we'll leave you with just one more thought. For decades, we've been told that fusion is just around the corner. You know, creating energy from combining two atomic nuclei into one, releasing huge amounts of energy. Now, since I was a kid, I was always just told this is just a decade or two away. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It is. There are plenty of brilliant people working on this with lots of money behind them. So let's just say it does happen by the end of the decade, right? We have fusion and all this cheap energy that we need. Do you think that helps or hurts the adoption of electric cars?
Oh, you mean to have cheap electricity to run them? Obviously, it helps them.
And do you think we're going to need a lot of batteries to store this energy that we can make so cheaply?
Yeah. But what do you hear from your friends at dinner parties about these topics?
They don't talk about these topics much, do they? Because they don't know anything about them, and they've been trained to no longer be curious like you are. So here's what I got to say to you guys. Stay curious, my friends.
I'm so glad that you guys are curious, and I'm so glad that we get to bring you some of the stuff that might not necessarily be the easiest thing to do first principles researching on, like, say, buying 3 electric trucks and testing them all out like side by side by side. It's not the cheapest thing to do, and it's something that Zach and I are committed to doing because we wanted to know which electric truck was going to be the winner. It's going to be the Cybertruck. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I'm just so excited to be bringing you this kind of stuff and be able to talk to people who are working, you know, because, again, I can't just go create a company tomorrow that's working on, say, solar, but we can go talk to those people.
You know, trucks are the #1 selling model in the U.S., pickup trucks. And we meet so many people who drive pickup trucks. They've driven a Chevy or a Ford or a Ram for their whole lives. Their families have, and they're not going to switch to Tesla. They're not going to switch. They're electric. They don't even know that there is an electric truck. And so when we tell them about electric trucks, if we don't tell them from a first-person perspective that we actually have all 3 trucks, then they don't believe us. I can just see it in their eyes. They go, yeah, you read about that somewhere, right? And I'm like, no, I'm just getting out of a truck right now. This is the truck that we drive. And so what I'm telling you is first person. I know how it charges. I know all the things about it. That changes their minds when we have those talks with them because they go, oh, wait, so you know what you're talking about.
It's a smart defense mechanism, right? If you think that you know something because you've been driving, let's say, a pickup truck your whole life, and then somebody comes along and goes like, oh, there's electric ones. Don't listen to them. I've been driving a gas truck. I know exactly what that is. And if somebody tells me about it, do they know what they're talking about? The moment that I do know what I'm talking about, and I can answer every single question because this is my job, people start to change their minds because they go, oh, crap, I thought I'd have 16 gotchas, and they pull them all out. Like, nobody is polite to me. when I'm talking about electric trucks or anything electric. They're not polite. They don't go like, so I heard. They just go, yeah, but you can't do this or you can't do that. And I go, actually, no, you're wrong.
Let's talk about the snowplow companies. We reached out to them and talk about Delusional. They said, you can't put a snowplow on an electric truck. And we said, why not? We were expecting some really rational reason because we thought, well, you must have tried it. And they go, because there's no 12-volt battery in an electric truck. And Jesse and I were
We were talking about the Ford. We wanted to put it on the Ford, and they said, well, there's no 12-volt battery. There is one. I can send you a picture of one.
Right. And they actually, and we told them, and they just hung up. So that's delusional. And that means that they're in a business where they should be thinking about putting plows on electric trucks. It won't cost them much more to make a different kit to attach it, but they won't do it. They're delusional. And I just think that we should start putting that word on to what it really is, okay? We are not the delusional ones anymore. If we are, in the comments, prove that we're delusional.
Well,
okay?
And this is where I love doing first principle things. I love having an electric pickup truck. I love putting a plow on my electric pickup truck so that way when somebody goes, yeah, but can you plow with it? Yes, I've done it. Oh, did it work? Better than a gas one. Oh, how do you know that? Because I've done plowing in a gas truck. I can talk about it because I've actually done it. I don't have to build up my RPMs to build up the power. I don't have to get as much inertia going because A, the truck is heavier, and B, I have so much torque.
At zero.
At 0 RPM, at 0 miles an hour, I can get going so much quicker without having to rev it and all this stuff. Because most of the time, right, like, oh my God, there's so much to talk about, right? But I know it all because we've done it, first principles. So I know what base reality is, and everybody else who doesn't understand it and hasn't looked into it, they're the delusional ones because they're just going based off of somebody else.
Look, you read a lot of articles. Those articles are written by people or AI now. Do they really know what they're talking about from a first principle perspective?
Because what's their job?
They don't.
What's their job?
They're writers, okay? And that's great, except that it's not great. Writers should be like Hemingway. They should have been out there bullfighting and fighting in wars and knowing what they're talking about. They should not be people who go, I think this is dumb. If you don't know it first principle, then how do you know it's dumb? So next time you're reading an article, look up who wrote it. See what else they write about. How old are they? Where have they been? What have they done? Chances are they haven't done a whole lot. What Jesse and I are trying to tell you is when we don't know something, we tell you we don't know it. And when we tell you we know something, we do know about it.
Thank you so much for joining us on Disruptive Investing. We'll see you next week.